What's up, everybody? Steve Burboyne here, and this is our latest episode of the Crazy Creative Podcast. You're probably going to get the jacked up version of me because I have Paul Pita.
That's right.
And super excited because this is the king of the mountain here. He's got his own empire.
No.
The Pita Group.
The Pita.
The Pita Group.
Yep.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm the hungry young designer, and this is the type of guy I look up to. You know, they say stand on the shoulders of giants, and
oh man, I gotta get my shoulders a little bigger.
In here.
All right.
A little closer so I can hear you better. So you were at the
I was at the Business Expo.
business. Are you good to do this?
Day.
Are you good to do this today?
Yeah, I'm good, man.
All
I was
right.
up up in my normal time, but I was down in Hartford by 10 of 7 doing a little radio interview, which was kind of cool. Ray Dunaway, and then presented some awards after that. It was just a long day and interviewed a bunch of people.
Yeah. You're okay to do one more?
I actually was doing the interview, so I was sitting in your seat.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm flipped over, so I'm gonna be sitting in the interviewee seat.
Gotcha.
So it's cool.
And now, what do you guys have to do with the Business Expo? Were you like a host or a sponsor?
We were a sponsor. We sponsored the morning event, which was this Business Champions, which was awesome. They have all these great businesses from companies that really help the community involvement, companies that were about innovation, companies that were about growth, and we were one of the sponsors for that event.
Okay.
And then we were an event sponsor for the Business Expo, and we had a booth there where we were interviewing for our podcast.
Okay.
In the pocket, a little plug, at our site, thepitagroup.com. And so it was awesome. It was a great day.
You're gonna get the 2 people that are gonna watch this. So
Hey man, that's right.
No man, there's gonna be a lot of people now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll be sharing this shit.
Awesome. So you are a designer by trade, correct?
Yeah, Central grad.
Yeah. Did you study under Sue Vail?
Studied under Sue Vail. She was.
Me too.
Yeah, did you?
I'm a Sue Vail student myself.
I was a little pet student of hers. Actually, I used to dog sit her dogs when
really?
she was there, and people were like, "Oh, you're just her teacher's pet." And I'm like, "No, I watch her pets." But yeah, I graduated from there, and this was late 80s, so there was no digital shit. It was all print, and then from there worked at a couple of agencies down in Southern Connecticut, New Haven, and then Stanford.
Okay.
And I was lucky enough to work for a shop initially that was focused in sports marketing. So I was loving it because I'm doing campaigns for Starter Sportswear and the National Hockey League and Spalding, and I was able to do these campaigns traveling the country and art directing these campaigns, and it was a 28-year-old dream, for an 28-year-old art director going around and meeting, Cal Ripken and Warren Moon and,
that's cool.
and some amazing athletes and doing campaigns with them. I was just like, it was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, when you left Central, you went straight into those agencies, yeah?
Yeah, I actually did an internship, and I always say to young students when I go back to Central and speak there, or any of the colleges I go and talk to, is the internship was the best move for me because it got me enough experience to get my first job. And yeah, right from graduation, I went right to work.
That's awesome. It's funny because I think you actually came and spoke to Central when I was there.
Okay.
But I actually missed it because I was
did?
running Central Design at the time, and I was off at like a print press check or something, and so I missed the talk. It's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. So you never heard my
No.
do that now in the speech, the graduation speech right now. No. It was awesome. I mean, Sue was. She, people either loved her or hated her.
But I thought she was great.
She put out a lot of great graphic designers.
Yep.
She knew how to teach design, and again,
she was a great motivator.
Yeah. And
I really liked about her, she was like honest. She was like the first person I met in the real world that was like brutally honest.
Brutally honest, and I mean, people would cry in her class.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember like my first project. She came up and she's like, "That's stupid." Like tossed it on the floor. I was like, "Oh, I see how it is."
Dude, she said the same thing to me.
Yeah, but it's great because I feel like it's funny because I was originally a fine art student, and I think that's why I was sort of like, fine art is bullshit because no matter what you did, it was like, that's great, A, that's great, A. She would tell you like, no, that's garbage.
Right.
And real people would be like, that's garbage because, in the world of design, that's applicable to real life. Your everyday audience.
And this is what you're going to be competing with. So you come up with crap, or you come up with something great.
Right.
What do you want to do?
Exactly. And normal people, they don't care. They're not going to stop and be like, oh, I wonder what this ad is trying to tell me. They're either going to catch it or they're not.
Yeah.
You have a fraction of a second.
And that, you know what, that is still very relevant in today's world with the digital work that's happening that you're doing, and that you have about 8 seconds. Before your attention span is like, I don't care what this is about.
Right, right.
Which may happen by people watching this. 8 seconds, and we would have lost half the
later.
audience. But and so you've got to really think creatively. And I was actually just reading a quote from somebody that sent me a quote from David Ogilvy, and it was like, the best ideas come from jokes.
Oh yeah.
So think funny.
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
Actually, I think when you guys posted that.
I mean, that's why. To me, it's about having a really great sense of humor and be able to just enjoy what you do, and that's the culture that I've been trying to really focus on.
Yeah, definitely, because I think that's so true. Most of the best things that I can think of come when you're not when you're beating your head against the wall. It's when you're thinking about something else, telling a joke,
Totally.
and
I am famous for in the company to digress into a conversation about something I did at night or something I'm going to do in the weekend or something completely ridiculous, and it's actually gotten to be a joke like, here he goes, and but if I can loosen up the team and get them laughing and thinking about something else, that's actually where the brilliance comes from. And I think David Ogilvy was right. I mean, the great stuff comes from just jokes and laughing.
Right, because if you can get your head thinking somewhere totally different. Yeah,
exactly.
That's where the good stuff comes from.
We work with a lot of corporate clients, and it's funny. You walk in there and they're all serious. And we were talking about this before we started recording. You get 20 people around the room and say, "We've got to come up with an idea," and it's like, really? That's how you're going to come up with an idea? And so we'll, I hate to say it, we'll amuse them and take them through a process of having those conversations and try to get some gems from them. But the brilliance isn't going to come out of that stiff, uptight room. The brilliance is going to come out of laughter and going down a road that may be stupid, but down that road with some stupid idea, there's a gem of brilliance.
Right, yeah.
Oh, wait, you just said something was awesome.
Yep. I get it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
now, how long were you working before you decided you wanted to open your own
shop?
Yeah.
Let's see. It was probably a little over 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was about 6.5 years at the first agency with Silverman Group. They're still around. Bill Silverman, who was the owner and founder, passed away several years ago, but he was a great mentor of mine. He taught me how to build that culture, and he said, be yourself and let other people know that in the company they can be whatever you want. And he used to walk around the office with a limp and a speech impediment, and that was him being him, and it allowed everyone else to do that. So I was there for 6.5 years. Went down to Stanford, worked for a bigger agency down there. Hated it. It was 100 people. There was great brands, Coca-Cola and Miller Beer and Cutter Shark and Ragu, but it was uptight, and there was the executives and there was the creatives. Yeah. It was horrible. So didn't spend much time there, a little over a year, and then went back to a small design shop. And after that, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this a shot. And did some freelance, and just made the decision that was like, now or never. And if it doesn't work, I'll just go get a job. Yeah.
And did you have clients in hand before you did that, or did you just I'm going to open up shop and run around my portfolio and see what happens?
It was, it was starting to freelance. Freelance kept the cash coming in to pay the bills, pay rent. And so I did freelance for a corporation and an agency in Farmington. And then while I was doing that, I was, between the freelance days, I'd go run out and try to pick up a little client, did some work with a corporation. They started using me more and more, and then slowly started picking up some small businesses, and it just probably within 6 months it was enough to say, all right, either shit or get off the pot.
Yep.
You know, what am I going to do this? And it was a leap. You know what?
Yeah, right.
Eventually you're going to go, I'm going to do this. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to get a job.
Right.
And there was no great marketing plan or business plan. It was like, just work your ass off until you see if it starts working. And a year after we started, it was, we hired our first employee, Lisa Santoro. She's still with me today, almost, from 1996. She was with me after the first year, so 19 years. She's been I met her when I was a design director for a small design studio up in Litchfield, and she was just out of UConn, little graphic designer, brilliant designer, but it was just so cool to see her evolve. And I was at a pitch today. Actually, it was part of my day. I had a finalist presentation for our new account, and she was there and she was talking, and I'm thinking, I remember when you were all in a corner, just working, and she wouldn't even look up to talk to me.
Right.
And now she's talking to this potential client, and it was just that to me now. That's what I love to see.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The people around me just grow and become great. And sometimes they'll stay, like Lisa, and then sometimes they'll leave.
Right.
And it's to me that's fine. They leave with the integrity and they're thankful for what they learned, and hopefully they'll remember a little bit of either what I taught them or what they learned. You know what? I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and you're pretty big into that. Like you do a lot of talks over at Central and other places, right?
Yeah, I've designed, I've done campaigns, I've won awards, and it's not about that anymore. It's about just letting great people be great and being around them and trying to learn. I was talking to somebody yesterday. She just graduated from Marist College. Her dad asked me to do an informational interview. And I'm like, sure. And you have the time to do that? I'm like, no, but come on in. And she came in, and I spent 45 minutes with her.
Sure.
And she shared with me what she wants to do, and I shared with her any wisdom I can share with her, and it was awesome. And she sent me the nicest note today, an email, and then her dad sends me a note and says, her name is Samantha, but she goes by Sam. She's like, Sam was floored that you gave her the time that you did, the advice. And from the dad, he was like, "Thank you for that," and that was awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody should kind of seek out, professionals and kind of get some professional advice, especially starting out. Even me, I've been a designer full time for over 6 years now, and I still will go get feedback from people. I went to a Behance portfolio review a couple weeks ago down in New Haven. There was a bunch of creative directors from ESPN, Lego, Colangelo, AIGA, awesome. Just to go down there. My buddy was actually working at the agency that was hosting the event, and he's like, "Oh, come down." And I was like, "I don't even have anything." I went down there empty-handed. He's like, "Oh, here's a laptop. Show him your podcast and your blog." And I was like, "All right." So I just pitched it.
Pull it out.
This is what I'm working on, and it's kind of funny because most of them were like, "This is different." I wasn't there with a book.
Right.
I was like, this is what I'm thinking of. They're like, wow, this is interesting. This is different than what I'm used to seeing. So,
well, then you're on the right track.
Yeah, maybe. I think so. I got some really good advice though. One guy from. What
was the best advice you got?
I think it was from. Is it Primacy or Primacy? Primacy.
Yeah.
He was like, "This is really cool. Now, how can you package this and offer this to somebody?" So that's my next task. It's how do I say to somebody I can do this for you? A small business or a business in the area, you want to set up a podcast or do some promotional videos. That's huge right now.
You know what? There's an idea there that I think now that we're talking is there are a lot of companies out there that they worry that the video stuff and they're really thinking about it as content.
Yep.
It could be an accounting firm that's got some experts in specific industries to say, listen, I come in, set up house for a camp for a day. Mm-hmm. Get your experts in place, and we'll just bang this stuff out. And just be really efficient about it, because again, it's about good content.
Yeah.
So if you can find the companies that have that type of expertise, they're looking for this. I mean, they are, and you can package that. And once you get one,
that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Second, and then you get the third. And people and then you'll look up better too.
Yeah, definitely, because it's funny because other people have said well, what's your focus? And right now I don't have a focus. I'm all over the place. I'm everywhere. I'm a generalist. I don't have a specialty. You know what I mean?
I think it's blog content, blog content.
I think it's going to be interactive Digital content, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
And that's kind of what I was. It's funny because I've always been a designer, professionally, and I was working on trying to make my book the best, do the best design work.
Yeah.
And
right.
Not so much.
Make Sue Vale happy.
Yeah, and it's funny because I listen to a lot of books and stuff, and the guy's like, I think it's Rich Dad Poor Dad. And he's like, so many people worry about making the best cheeseburger, they don't think about how they're gonna sell it. So I'm like, well, that's why I put on my blog. It's not the best looking thing. It's kind of like raw and rough.
I like it, man.
But it's more like get the content out.
Right.
Just get it out. I can refine that stuff later. You know what I'm saying? If I'll spend forever trying to find the perfect theme or whatever for WordPress.
And that's the thing I think it's about the efficiency of doing it, and if it's clear, good content, it's going to be watched. I mean, there's a guy named Reagan Communications. They do a lot of content out there. His name is Mark Reagan. He does stuff like, I don't know if he does it with a GoPro, but he'll just go out into a conference in the middle of a conference, and he'll just have the camera, and he's talking to people, and he's interviewing them. Some of it's a little bit more polished, some of it's really raw, but the content's really good.
Right. Yeah, and I think you see that now that it doesn't have to be the super production.
Overproduction is not necessary.
It could be an iPhone.
Exactly.
Somebody real quick say a couple words, boom, they're out. I even noticed that myself. There's videos I did it's 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
Spent a week editing it.
Right.
Put in After Effects in there. Nobody watched it. I did a video for 3 seconds of me this is how I'm setting up my backdrop.
I love that. I love that thing. And then you went back and you fixed all the back. I watched that thing and I really did. I was one of those guys that watched it.
It's funny. It's I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do this, and I'm just gonna do quick little hits of stuff.
And I think that, the one of your sons shooting the laser, was it a laser? Or
it was this little McDonald's dinosaur,
that was awesome.
And it shot a little. Well, that's another thing. I was like, well, I do all this work and nobody's saying a thing. I put up a picture of my kids. The whole place goes nuts. I'm like, I got it. I'm gonna start doing it. Who's paying the bills? Hollywood kids.
There's a lot of money. You see all these photographers out there shooting babies, and little Brickfield babies all curled up in a little blanket. Pictures you gotta get kids shooting things.
Yeah. And there's another guy doing that.
Parents would pay money for that.
Yeah, I think that, and it's fun because it's also hey, you guys want to make a video with me? It's I'm spending time with them, right. And then when they go to sleep, I'm doing this After Effects tutorial.
You gotta push all that stuff up.
Yeah. That stuff takes a lot of work.
It does. It does. And I watch the amazement of people that work for me that do that stuff, and I'm just like, that is so cool. But I'm too old to learn that.
Oh, come on. All right, we're coming up on our 20 minutes already.
So we got a commercial?
Yeah, we'll take
McDonald's
a quick commercial break.
Commercial?
Yes.
All
They're
right.
Sponsoring the show.
McDonald's is a sponsor. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, you hit it big.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. If you are a designer or want to become a designer, check out the Hartford Adobe User Group. The group meets once a month to discuss Adobe products like Photoshop, Dreamweaver, Flash, Illustrator, and Business Catalyst. Our meetups are a great way to network with like-minded creative professionals to learn more about design and development. All levels are welcome. If you want to learn more about the meetups, visit www.meetup.com/Hartford Adobe. All right, we're back. I'm here with Dick Butkus. He's ready to play some football. He's got his old-timey football helmet on.
It's a leatherhead.
Yeah, we found that was the key to fixing my microphone. It wasn't really working too well in the first segment, but we're back now.
Yes.
We were talking about a whole bunch of stuff there, and we were talking about your agency and how you kind of started out as a freelancer, running around getting work, and then
that's right.
Yeah, then working your ass off, and
working the ass off.
And now you have
80 hours a week,
20+ person shop now.
Yeah.
So how did we get there?
So again, once we started really moving into enough work between freelance and picking up small little accounts, we actually, and again at that point it was myself and my now ex-wife, but at that point my wife, who was a writer, public relations background, and myself as a graphic designer. We thought, you know what, let's give this a shot.
Mm-hmm.
People thought we were crazy because we were husband and wife working together. They probably were right. Now,
I was actually going to ask you that.
Now, in hindsight, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. But again, look,
I'll tell my wife. I'll tell my wife that.
I'll tell your wife that. But it was really a great time to start the company because in '96 the economy actually was moving really upwards, and we found a niche in this world of recruitment, and in that we really started getting it connected with associations. So there was the Connecticut Association of Personnel Services. We got into the New England Association of Personnel Services, and eventually to the National Association of Personnel Services.
So like temp agency, job placement type stuff.
Executive search, permanent search. And what was cool about it was all these companies, big and small, needed marketing. None of them were marketers.
Okay.
None of them had logos. None of them had brochures to sell their services. And we just started doing that work, and eventually got to the level that we were working at the national level. We were doing work for the National Association, and that niche got the company going.
Wow.
It was again, I wish I could say it was planned. It just was through some friends that were in the industry, and they said, yeah, you know what, my company could use a logo, and I sit on this board of this association, maybe you could do some work for them for their conference.
So networking, huh? That works?
Yeah, that whole networking theory, that actually works. And again, we started moving, and then I started making more connections within some companies like Aetna and United Healthcare and some other companies, and that really started the company. We really looked at honing in our services, and it was really at that time print communications, and most of it was B2B and public relations. And you fast forward in the evolution, there was probably one other moment between then and where we are today. Was we were approached by a small digital company called Faroon Media. Okay. And they were this is probably goes back 12 years, maybe 10 years, about 10 to 12 years ago. They were doing, it was back when a lot of flash websites were built, and people were those walk-ons when we had people walking on your website and we're like, hi, welcome to our website.
Right.
All those flash movies, right?
Yep.
And so we were doing all that.
There's like landing pages and all that stuff.
All that stuff. And so we were like, that's pretty cool. And this company was, the two owners were like, we don't want to run this company. Would you guys take it over? And they had about a dozen clients, 4 employees. And we said, you know what? Yeah, well, this is pretty cool. And this will get us into the digital space.
Right, yeah.
And so that's what we did. We acquired the company. It wasn't a huge acquisition, but, we bought the company, in essence, their assets, took over some of their employees, and then that really started positioning us as a firm that does digital work. We were starting to do video, and we were starting to do some pretty cool sites, which attracted better employees, talent, because they were like, hey, those guys are doing some cool stuff. Then this is the day before streaming video was known. Like, we were just in the early onsets of doing streaming video, and I fast forward from that sort of moment in time for the company, where then it was, we've got to be as good in digital and video as we are in print. Right. And that was really, I remember saying to Kim and some of my staff, right now, if I had to look at the quality between all of our work, our print design is up here, our video is here, and our digital is maybe a little bit above that. We need to balance that out. So if somebody asks me, which one are you stronger in? I can say any of them. All of them are strong. And I can say that today, that our digital is as strong as our print, and our video is as strong as, they are equally strong. It's, as CrossFitters, right? You try to work on your weaknesses. We worked on our weaknesses. Sure. And that was about hiring the right people. So, and again, one of the people that we hired that was awesome was Kristen Gomez, or Ehrlich.
My old buddy.
Yeah, so she's on now as our Director of Creative Services.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome. And so she helps in all.
Does she ever bring in cupcakes?
She has brought in some cupcakes for sure. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think she did. I think it might have been Halloween or something. She brought them in, and I don't eat a lot of that stuff, but I'm like,
you have
you
to.
Brought it in.
Yeah.
I'm eating it, and I was like, oh.
I should have her on, talk about her adventures in cupcake land there.
And now she's like gluten intolerant, so she can't eat any of that stuff. I'm like, what?
Is that irony? I don't know.
I think it was. It forced
I'm not a smart man, but
I think it forced her out of the bakery industry. But, so today, it's really about the branding. It's about our digital, and it's about video. And
do you think, like you said before, you're mostly print and a little bit, you built digital and video. Do you think it's more digital and video focused and then print? Or do you think it's equal?
No,
still.
I think we've hit the tipping point, at least with our company, that it's the digital space, and again, it doesn't mean web. It could be social. It could be marketing and advertising, email, games. We do online gaming, video content.
Yep.
A lot of video content, digital strategy, and then the print comes in with mostly around the branding or when we work on an advertising campaign. But I can tell you, even with the advertising, we're seeing shifts of over 25 to 50% of print advertising dollars going to digital advertising.
Because it's all traceable and trackable. I mean, why not? If you were, it makes sense too. I mean, if you're a company and you're trying to get the bang for your buck and you want to advertise, at least you have a measuring tool with the digital stuff.
And it's so targeted. I mean,
right.
I mean, you could really pinpoint who you're talking to by their points of interest, by their points of intent. You can track them and do what they call retargeting. So you come to my website, I drop a cookie on you, and now wherever you're going, you're seeing my ad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's not
cool.
wasteful. You came to my site, so you must have been interested in something.
Yep.
You know, so now I'm going to follow you for a while.
Cool.
To bug you to buy something.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And that's what I kind of like about all the digital stuff. You know, I do mostly print myself, and it's funny knowing that like you'll be working on something that's in print or an ad, and you're like, I have no idea if this is effective. There's no way to know.
No way to know.
And
I love print.
Yeah, I love doing it, but it's like at least, what I like about is the emergence of like big data and being able to collect stuff and CRM and all of that is like you could you could gather the data that could make your communication more effective. Oh, yeah. And it's less of a guessing game. You're like, oh, we're going to come up with a great concept, great ad, but if it doesn't meet what the consumer is, it doesn't. They don't identify with it. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
So
and there's so much the big data that's out there now. I mean, you're able to identify. Even if put it this way, we can take 1,000 names, either their name and phone number, or name and email address, or name and address, any of those, any of those, and we could target about 60% of them and market to them. Not know who they are, but what they are, what their profiles are. And there's so much data now. I was talking to my interactive director that our phones have all this data, not only of where we've gone on the internet, but where we've been in our day.
Right? Yeah.
So now I know that.
You can geotag people.
Yeah. So you basically. So listen, I went to Whole Foods today, and so that tells the advertiser that guy went to Whole Foods, so he's probably into active fitness. He's probably into organic. He's probably whatever. Yep. And now they can truly target based on where I went. It's
kind of creepy.
It is creepy.
But I think in our job field, I think it's helpful.
I think, as long as you don't know who I am.
Right, exactly. Right. But I like the fact that being a low-level designer, having that ammo to say to dealing with administrator type individuals who are like, I want color blue because I like color blue, and I don't like that typeface and I don't like that image. Well, it doesn't matter what you like because this ad isn't for you; it's for them. You know what I mean? Well, that's what I think. Where data comes in our favor.
Right, because you could actually make an argument.
Yeah, the numbers, and those types of people, numbers matter, so there you go.
That's right. Or this audience also cares about travel. Our audience that we want to go after also travels a lot, so we're going to advertise on travel sites. And the person might say, yeah, but we're selling technology. It doesn't matter. The people that buy technology like travel. Right. So we're going to advertise on travel sites.
Yeah.
It's
funny because I listened to Tim Ferriss. I don't know if you heard him.
Yeah. I follow him on Facebook.
He had a great podcast the other day. It was like how to build a podcast following from scratch. If you had to. That. First of all, he was like, why would you ever want to do that? He's like, this is stupid. He's like, if you wanted to build he's like, if you wanted to build a podcast, first of all, ask yourself, why the hell am I doing this? Yeah. And then he was like,
no, he has a podcast.
Well, yeah, but he also has 4 best-selling. Like he has an audience. He could take a dump on camera, and you know what I mean. He'd make $1 million off of it.
Maybe we should do that.
Yeah. Let's go.
Wait. Done.
Nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think that's it. All right, everybody. No, but he was saying you're better off finding instead of trying to get the biggest audience, which is not even worth the time and money to get, you can target people, a very small audience, and then get them to love you.
More quality audience.
Right, and he's like, you can start by like for me, look at your credit card statement. and like where do you spend your money,
Yeah.
and where would you if you doubled that expense, where would you have no problem?
Right.
Like, you know, for me, it's like fitness and
Right.
that type of stuff. All right, well,
Right.
if I want to put an ad out for this podcast, maybe I market it towards, put out a little Facebook ad, and I click Hartford, CrossFit, maybe like the podcasts I listen to.
Yeah.
I tagged the books I read, and then you'll find people that are a lot like me that might see this and be like, oh, I like this guy.
It's the like-minded groups.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I call it the connection with tribes. Because I look at those groups as tribes, and it's like, you know what? Let's connect to the tribes that we like.
Yeah.
That like what we like.
Right. Because you're almost, it's more effective to get the people that love you than, try
and
to
they're going to stick with you.
Yeah, definitely.
We have clients that'll say, we want to increase our likes on our page, and it's like, well, so we're going to advertise on Facebook.
Well, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to say?
And once they get there, that'll increase your likes. But once they get there and you're not saying anything to them, guess what? All that money you spent, half of them or more than half of them are going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So you just lost $3/4 of the dollars you spent. I got people there, and then within a week they all left.
Right, and I think that's something
they're never coming back.
Right, and that's something I think people don't get about social media. Like, I can't get Twitter followers or Facebook followers. It's like, well, what are you doing? Are you doing anything that's worth following?
Right.
Like, are you doing
taking a dump?
Yeah, like you just like taking a dump on social media, or like, are you supporting a cause or an event or doing something that's worthy of liking or following? I mean,
and who are you targeting? What do they care about? I've been talking about a lot of the idea of what's meaningful. We've heard the word relevant. We have to send relevant content, and that's fine. You're right, but what does it mean to them? I mean, can you look at a meaningful message that someone can say, I get what they're talking about, and I think that's what's really cool about your podcast. Because I think with everyone that you've done, and I've checked them all out, I can't say I've saw them from start to finish, but I've checked them out when you post them, is that they have, to that audience, there's something meaningful. It's like, you know what, that's kind of a cool topic. I want to hear what this guy has to say, if it's Matt or whoever it might be. And I think that's what it comes down to, is asking, how is this meaningful to the people I'm talking to? And in some cases, it may not be. It might open up a new group to you, but...
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I might have like my bodybuilder friend that will be interesting to people who are interested in bodybuilding.
Right, exactly.
Your show will be interesting to people that are in
in
our world,
marketing and advertising design. Yeah.
But I mean, why not dabble a little bit everywhere?
I don't think the bodybuilders are going to be watching me.
No,
probably not.
They probably should, man. Take some business advice.
They might. Yeah.
Like what are you going to do when you blow out that hammy and you can't lift no more?
Exactly.
I mean, what the heck?
Yeah.
I watched your video on your website where you were talking about branding, and you were talking about branding goes from not just the logo, it's everywhere. It's the culture of the employees, it's the atmosphere of the location or whatever. And I think that's really interesting because I took some like user design courses at Quinnipiac, and it's almost what you're saying is the same thing as user design. Like, absolutely, it's the same thing. Like you go to a website. The website could be beautiful, but then you go to the location and it's dog shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like. You know what I mean? Like, people think branding is a logo. Slap a logo on it and we're all set. People will get it. Like, no, it's the logo. It's how your website looks, how it functions, what you're saying. When people go there, like, does your staff greet them? Like, what does the atmosphere look like?
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's the entire experience from, nut to butt, the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm working with a client right now in Milford, and we're doing a name change for this organization. And the CEO called me. He texted me last night, and he's like, "I have a couple questions," and I'm like, "Oh shit, what happened?" And so I talked to him today, and he's like, "I'm getting cold feet." And I said, "Why are you getting cold feet?" I said, "First of all, it's natural. You're changing the name of the organization. We're going to do a whole new rebranding. I get it. What are you nervous about?" He's like, "Well, what if it's not the right move?" And and I know we've met with groups, but he's getting all nervous. I said, "All you're looking at right now is a name on a piece of paper." I said, we haven't put together the identity. We haven't put together the key messaging. We haven't created the web experience. We haven't really put together what the brand and the essence behind it is.
Right.
We came up with a concept for the name based on the research that we've done, and we're putting all that together now. I said, you have to look at it as the package.
Yep.
It's not
the holistic
just the one thing. Right.
experience.
So you're looking at a name on a piece of white, on white paper with
yep.
black type.
Yep.
You will never see it like that.
Right.
So they'll always be in context. And I think that's what the thing with brands are. It's got to be in context from everything that you experience with it, from tasting it, touching it, smelling it, to reading about it. What is that? And you got great brands think about all that.
Yep.
They think about all that.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. I feel like, a lot of the freelance clients that I have, there's smaller people that are starting out, mostly like a lot of like CrossFit gyms in the area and stuff. That's like, I think I've done like all of them in like the Hartford area.
Awesome.
But it's funny to have to do that kind of education and hand holding with them. You know what I mean? I it's funny that you still have to do that sometimes, even at your level.
You know what? Yeah. You really do. And even when you get to corporate level, which you work in a great corporation, healthcare corporation, or they're nonprofit, I guess. Right?
Nonprofit, yeah.
You're doing the same thing at that level.
Yep.
And it's interesting, CrossFit, you talk about it from a brand, Glassman allows each of those brands to name their own thing and kind of brand their own space. But there's still something that is magical about that and what they create. Now, good, bad, ugly with as far as the coaching quality and all that. But there's still a brand that, even though they're all different, there's some commonalities that they all have. Yeah,
there's like a continuity. Like there's like that same thing with that tribal thing you just said. Like everyone, you can go to a different box everywhere. The programming, the coaching might be different, but everyone knows the benchmark workouts. They know Fran. They know Diane. They know. Yeah. So we all have this thing in common. So
that's right.
It's kind of cool.
Exactly.
But I think we have to break again already.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
I know you've heard of CrossFit by now. CrossFit is the most efficient training program available. CrossFit Hartford has some of the best coaches and best programming in the central Connecticut area. So when you're ready to take your fitness to the next level, call us at 860-216-4785 and visit us at CrossFitHartford.com.
All right, we're back.
I don't hear anything.
Can you hear me?
No.
It seems like you're having an issue with the headphones here.
All right, we're good.
We good?
We're good.
All right. Well, welcome back. We took a little chow break there.
We did. It was good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So we kind of covered a lot of stuff. Talked about building the agency and start to finish there real quick. Kind of the abbreviated version.
Thank God, we'll be here 2 days.
But so, what kind of advice would you give somebody like me, a young guy who thinks he's going to take over the world as a designer?
I was there.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, this is the guy I need to talk to because this is the guy I want to be like. Yeah. I want to, what I mean? Like,
I hear you. Yeah. No.
So like, what would you say? If a young designer says, I have a good job right now, but I want to go out on my own and do my own thing and explore. And
it's kind of that question of like, what would you tell your younger self?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
what would you tell young Paul? 33-year-old Paul, married with 2 kids.
I would run. No. The thing is that I think when I was, and actually it was about the age that I started the agency. It was right around that time, around 30.
I think that's the age.
Yeah, it is.
Early 30s. Like I think you can. It's like you see
the potential of like, what, I want to do something bigger than just what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and it's also like you put in some time, and then you're like, well, I'm getting old.
Yeah. Well,
and if I'm going to do it, I got to do it now, of thing.
Because if it doesn't work, I'm going to get a job.
Right.
That's exactly where I was.
Yep.
And I think there's a couple things that drove me to that decision. And one was that inner drive. Don't let it fool you. And again, I know that you're not afraid of hard work because I could see that you're not, to the stories that you've told me. With getting your master's degree and all the things that you do at home with the kids and work. But that's not the issue. It's really about the drive inside that you want to do something great.
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes down to the greatness that, maybe not the greatness that you're going to become the world leader in graphic design, or in communications or whatever that might be. But there's some greatness that you want to bring to the people you work with. I remember, and I can remember, believe it or not, the brain cells are still working. I can remember wanting to achieve a level of success, and I think the first part was for my own ego. To say, you know what, there's some work here that I want to do because I want to kind of show that I can do great work.
Yep. You got to prove yourself.
I want to prove myself.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what? I want to win some awards, and I want to do that. And I was working for agencies, and did I win some awards? But it felt like I know I can do this by myself, and maybe with some other people too. But there was something to prove for myself. I think there was that. I mean, this is as real as it can get. That was the first part. And then once I started, was that the commitment of I want to do this was to never stop.
Right.
And I remember after year 3 of the business, it was hard. Again, I am not kidding when I said it was 70, 80-hour weeks. It was that. And we didn't see anybody, friends, family, and they'd be like, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're working all the time.
Wow.
But that commitment of we're going to do this, and I remember 3 years into it going, I don't know how much more I can do this. I'm going to focus on this even harder to make it successful. And it was putting the head down and doing it and setting, at that point, then it was like, okay, 3 years, we got to set some goals. We have 2 employees, and what do I want to do now? We've won some awards. I've got some employees. Where do I want to take this? And I think the big answer was, I don't want to work as hard as I'm working.
Right.
I was like, okay, I can't continue to work,
sure.
So I'm going to be dead by the time I'm 37.
Yeah, you're going to have a heart attack. And
right. So the advice I'd give is focus on the quality that you want to do your work at. Mm-hmm. And that to me was first and foremost. What is the quality that I want to work at? Eventually the ego goes away. It's like, okay, I'm doing great work. I know I can do great work, and we're making a career at it and job at it and making money. Then it was, what do I want to do almost in return to making a difference in the clients that we work for? I want to make their businesses successful.
Right, yeah.
The people that work for me, I want to make them successful because they're depending on a salary. So I guess it comes down to phases of what do you want to get out of it? For yourself first, and then ultimately for other people. I'm at the place now where it is about everything else around me.
Right.
It's not about me. I'm fulfilled. I'm happy with the accomplishments that I've made. And my mom told me back when I was in college at Central, I said to her at one point, I'm going to run my own agency. And I don't even remember saying this, but she said I said this to her. And my mom thought, maybe he'll do that. That would be great if he could. I don't remember saying that, but I know when I got the urge, it was not about how big it was going to be or how much money it was going to be. It was, I want to do really great work, and I want to make a difference.
Yep.
And I think that's the advice I'd give. Decide the kind of work you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Commit to that, and work your ass off to get there. And if you continue to stay on the integrity of the quality that you want to work on, you will get there. I think nobody would turn around, and I think about the people that even spoke to me today and said, we've heard so many great things about the firm. That just brings joy to myself because it means I've stayed committed to that early goal of like doing the right thing, doing the great work. Don't get ego in the way. Don't try to be selfish in it.
Yeah.
Because I think if you could try to get selfish in it, people see that. Your employees
right.
see that.
Yep.
Your clients see it.
Yep.
And that's doing the right thing. And I think that is ultimately, that's the advice I'd give.
It's funny because, interestingly, I don't follow a lot of designers.
Yeah.
I've always been the too cool for school kind of guy. I took my inspiration from elsewhere, musicians,
yeah.
and I'm really big into fitness, and
right.
It's funny, and I think just now I'm kind of trying to reach out into that world a little more, embracing the fact that I'm a designer, and I should tap into the creative world around me. Yeah, and it's funny because what you just said reminds me of a quote actually from a fitness guy, guy's named Dave Tate, and he built this really big empire as a fitness guy, and he was one of his things is do great things that help people, and the money will come.
Exactly.
And I think that applies to any business, really. If
really
you help people and you do something great for them, you'll find a way to make money out of it.
That's right.
So
if you're, and actually that's true, and that's actually ties into innovation. If you try to be innovative for the money, you will not be innovative. Mm-hmm. Be innovative for the meaningful, the purpose. create, innovate, or again, and I think that applies to anything in your life.
Yep. And even going back to like having fun too, having fun and doing great things and trying to make a difference. I notice even with this little project I'm doing now, it's like the stuff I do for fun is always the best stuff.
Yeah.
Rather than like, I feel like I should do this to do it.
Right.
Maybe this might be well received. I don't know. And it always falls flat. It's the stuff I do spontaneously for fun.
That's where your passion is.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that is probably another driver that gets you to those long nights where you're just working it and you're tired. Is the passion.
Right.
And so I the fitness guy you just talked about, you're absolutely right. I would agree with that. It's really about do it for the purpose.
And have you always been like creative, like even before you went to design school, were you like an artist or
in high school I even knew. I mean, I was the graphics geek guy that was printing out fake IDs and still screening people's cars with shamrocks on them because it was St. Patty's Day. I played sports. I played hockey. I played lacrosse. So I was into sports and athletics. But I always was even in I think junior high school. I worked on the school newspaper and did the printing on an A.B. Dick press, and that's what I did. And then in high school I was in the graphics department and doing, the graphic stuff. So I knew then that I was going to get into some sort of graphics. I didn't know there was a thing called graphic design.
Yep.
I had no idea until I met Sue Vale and she introduced me to that.
Right.
That's what I want to do. But it was... always a creative. My dad was an artist. A lot of the paintings were on.
Oh wow, no kidding! Awesome.
My dad's artist, or my dad's paintings, and he was he was. Well, both my parents are from Cuba, and just a quick story about them was his dad wanted him to be an attorney, and my dad always wanted to be an artist. My dad used to tell me he used to draw his teachers, in like lingerie and like in garter belts.
Yeah,
and he'd get in trouble, and my dad's dad said to him, "You become an attorney first, and then you can become an artist." Well, he did. He was an attorney, and then they came over to the United States after they left Cuba, and then he went to University of Hartford and went to fine art school.
Oh, wow.
Eventually, he opened up his own studio, and again, talking about passion for what he believed in and what he wanted to do. He painted. He did restoration of oil paintings, like antique oil paintings and fine porcelains. And maybe that's where I learned this whole sort of idea of commitment to something that you're really passionate for. And I think once you figure that out, it's not work.
Right.
They always say love what you do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the trick is that once you figure out what you're passionate about, then just do that. Do it with the integrity that you want to do it. Do it at the quality you want to do it, and then just do it, and the money will come.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's kind of funny because I feel like I'm onto something here because try to get up early to go to the office. But I can, for some reason, I can get up at 4 a.m. and work on this stuff. No problem. I'm like, boop.
You found it. So now you got to apply the business strategy.
Yeah.
You're
right.
And I think there's something to the basic fundamentals of. We have this great technology and this thing called the World Wide Web, and we've got blogs, and we've got businesses that want to tell stories. We want businesses that stories and tell their story, share education. And I think what you're doing now is you're telling people stories. You've sat and listened to me for 2 hours or whatever it's been on my story. But now apply that to a business, of somebody wanting to educate a potential customer on what they should be considering when they're thinking about, financial savings for retirement.
Yep.
There are companies that want to tell that story to masses.
Sure.
I think you can be assistance in that.
Yeah, that's funny. Just got to figure out how to reach those people. You know what I'm saying?
Find some associations and start talking to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's bar associations. There's accounting associations. Get a membership in there and start meeting people.
It's a networking. Got to keep doing it.
It's a thing
keep
called
going.
Networking. I think there's a little bit of a theme.
Yeah. It's funny because Scott Reynolds, the guy I interviewed a while back, he was saying you got to build a really good network if you want to be successful. He's like, you got to have at least 20 people that are in your industry at least. So you need a job, you need a referral, you have 20 people you can call. And doing this podcast in a matter of 2 months, I went from knowing maybe a handful of people to a whole bunch of people like you and I, you know, we know each other
Yeah,
from CrossFit Hartford,
Yeah.
but like, if would I necessarily have been able to come see you if I was like, hey, Paul, you want to come see?
Well, I would have because of Kristen, but
But like,
now it brings
but
it to a different
here's
level.
totally different
Totally,
level. But
totally
you know what
different
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's actually been a really interesting networking
Yeah.
experience. Like, I'm meeting people I never would have, and it's a much more natural setting than
Yeah.
a nervous like.
You know what's interesting? And I mean, this is what the videos that we're doing again in the pocket, thepitagroup.com, is that's what we do, and we do it. We do our purpose of doing it is to sort of tap into what are they doing that is innovative and how they're dealing with business challenges. So you could sort of take what you're doing here and start applying it to. Listen, I want to interview a young business owner.
Yep.
And start shifting this content to passionate content that you're doing right now to maybe a startup business.
Okay.
Because what does a startup have to lose? Like,
Right,
if you went to like the local coffee shop.
Sure.
So I do
Or
these
the
podcasts,
nonprofit or something.
or nonprofit,
yeah.
and then that'll start honing in. Not only not that you would maybe in some cases you wouldn't be doing interviews, but you'll start applying it to business conversations.
Yeah. Right.
That might be a way to start. Then saying, I got a demo of like that I interviewed again, maybe you'll become an interview. You'll be like Larry King. You'll wear the what does he wear this?
Next on Larry King.
Larry King.
I always saw myself more of like a Howard Stern type of guy, you know.
All right, maybe I'm Larry King or Howard Stern.
That show seems so much more fun to me.
Oh, yeah.
Larry King, I don't know. It's before my time.
Where's Baba Booey? Baba Booey.
That's so funny. It's funny you mentioned your dad. Even he was an artist, and my dad was a carpenter. He is a carpenter, and it's funny because he does finish work, like super real nice finish work, like your place here, like this type of stuff. Like he works out in Block Island,
so like cabinets and cabinetry,
all that stuff. And it's funny because like he was a blue collar, hardworking guy. So I definitely got my work ethic from him. But I was always a doodler and drawer. I always wanted to be a comic book artist, and I like gaffed off school completely. I got straight C's. I did whatever the bare minimum I needed to do, but like my art classes A, everything. Like, and he'd always be like, "Great, you're good at art. You're never gonna make a living doing art." So it's kind of funny because like I look at his work now and it's like that's an art form.
Right.
Like the stuff he does is art. I can't do the stuff he does.
Right.
And then, or if I ever do anything and I'm successful at, like I get a job, or I'm like not gonna make money doing art. I'm my dad. Like I always, it's like a little dig. You know what I mean? I say to myself whenever I get a call from like a client or somebody looking for work, or you know what I mean. It's kind of funny.
My dad used to say, "You got it from me." Like so he would take all the credit. Like even when he walked into the office, he'd be like, you look at my mom and say, "Yeah, he got all this from me." So, but it is cool, and you know, to have a dad that you sort of look at now as an adult and sort of see that and respect that and value that, and you know, from his work ethic to the craftsmanship that he does to, you know, I think about my dad. That's great. And again, I know you as a dad, you'll be that for your kids.
Yeah, hopefully.
Awesome. Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're doing it already. I see him. Bulldozering the driveway.
Yeah.
When he pulls up.
Yeah,
so,
we have fun.
That's all it's about.
But I guess we can wrap it up here. I don't want to
right.
take any more of your time. Thank you very much for
You're
being
welcome.
on the show.
Steve,
This is
it was
awesome. You're a great guest.
Yeah, and you're a great host.
Oh, thank you. Is there anything you wanna? Are there any events or anything you guys are doing, or anything? Any cool client things you wanna like?
Let's see, what are we doing?
Yell out.
Not really. I think
You speak a lot, right? So
I
are you
do.
doing anything?
I just did a couple of speaking engagements earlier this week, and I actually didn't talk today. I didn't speak today, so it was.
You didn't
no,
speak. You just cut the ribbon.
I cut the ribbon. You saw the ribbon.
Yeah.
I
I saw that.
I did a really good job of that.
Yeah,
So
congratulations.
I should like do that as a profession, ribbon cutting. You know what? I think the biggest thing is check us out on our Facebook page and our YouTube page, Twitter, Paul E. Pita, and it's my handle, and I'll see you on there.
Cool. All right. Thank you
Thanks.
very much.
Later, dude. Thanks.